With the on and off pause of packages from China, a lot of our American viewers are wondering, is this the end of the eWaste gravy train? Now, while some companies will charge you for the handheld and for extra shipping, Retroid, a lot of these companies like Ambernick and Powkitty get by charging really cheap prices and, for the most part, offering free shipping. That was because of something called the de minimis rule. Now, this rule has been part of U.S. trade law since the Great Depression, the one back in the 1920s, not the 2008s. That was rough. And it basically exempted certain shipments from any sort of taxes if they were under a certain monetary value. De minimis, the smallest. See? Taking Latin in college finally came in handy for my retro handhelds video. So now that this loophole is potentially going to be closed, and with the addition of 10% or more extra taxes, how does this affect you as a retro handheld connoisseur? Well, if you were already getting expensive x86 devices, probably not a lot, because the $800 was the previous limit. And a lot of those expensive x86 devices cost more than $800. Now, theoretically, they should have already been out of the de minimis rule. Maybe they weren't. Maybe they were getting a little cheap help. But theoretically, you shouldn't see a huge jump in those. Worst case scenario, maybe an extra 10%. That's not great, but it's not as bad as what I'm about to tell you, because any of your higher end to lower end Android and Linux systems, you could be looking at a 35% price increase. Ooh. And that's because the current thinking is a 25% de minimis rule plus that 10% extra tariff adds up to 35% of pain. Pain in your wallet. And no one likes that. Now, we can get an idea of what this could potentially look like by taking a glance at every European and Asian country, pretty much, and something called the VAT. Ugh, it sounds spooky. Sounds like something you'd get dipped into by an evil scientist. But no! The VAT is a value-added tax. Bum, bum, bum. How's that for editing? And it gets appended to the cost of any imported item, like a retro handheld. This has been the standard way of doing business in these countries for a while, and if Europe is anything to look at, they have a range from a little bit under 20 to a little bit over 25% VAT on pretty much anything that's not made in Europe. So basically, if things hold, Americans are probably going to have to pay the same, if not more, than their European and Asian brethren, and Canadians, I guess. They're North Americans. But U.S. Americans are going to have to pay a little bit more, and something similar to what their old buddies in Europe, Asia, and Canada have had to pay for quite some time now. And honestly, we don't know how long this could last. I mean, America and China are both major trading partners with each other. It doesn't make a lot of sense for this to go on forever. It's probably just a lot of saber rattling. Gary, edit in a big sword. Can you follow my hand? Hopefully we'll see a return to recent normality sooner rather than later. And it's really fluid. Like the post office suspended shipments for upwards of 18 hours, and then they said psych, JK, LOL. It's just a really fluid situation. Actually, I've started this video 4 times and had to rewrite everything because it keeps changing. With all that being said, I'm going to take this opportunity to open up the discussion of what I consider to be the primary problem with retro handhelds in general. I'm talking about the schism between collectors and gamers. While it's not as momentous as the schism of 1054, this weird bipolarism affects the community a lot, and I think it really needs to be addressed. And who else but me? I mean, probably a lot of people should be addressing it, but you got me. Sorry. If you spend any time in Discord or in YouTube comments or, God forbid, live chats during our podcast, you will see there is a significant disconnect between people who like to play video games on their handhelds and people who like to collect their handhelds. And they'll say their favorite thing to do on their handhelds is setting up RetroArch and turning them off. It seems like the longer you're in the hobby, the more you start to slide towards collecting things for its own sake rather than playing games. But then you have new users who have just unabashed joy at being able to play old games that they had forgotten about, or maybe they didn't have money to buy back in the day. That's what I like to focus on. Playing the games and getting enjoyment from the games. Weird concept, right? Now, I've been giving away a lot of my excess units to friends and family lately, and it's really refreshing to see their reaction to these handhelds, because in our community, it's like, oh yeah, that's great, but it can't play this certain N64 game perfectly, and so I don't want it, I'll just wait. But you hand one of these to a brand new person and they're like, holy crap, I can play pretty much every N64 game? This is amazing! So case in point, I set up my 40XXH for my neighbor, Mr. Mike. I think I mentioned it in a couple videos. And I gave it to him and he was like, holy crap, how much do I owe you? What is this? What? I said, just take it. I got a whole bunch in my basement, take it. And he was just so excited to have it. He's texted me like 3 or 4 times, hey, I was playing Contra last night. I haven't played Contra since I was a kid. And then, hey, I was just looking through the box art. I was looking at old Atari game box art, and I was just thinking about, man, I had this game, or man, I used to look at this in a magazine, and I really wanted to play it. Just that pure, unadulterated joy of having this in your hands, in your handheld, retro handhelds, having these retro games in your hand, just that pure joy is really refreshing to see. I've had other buddies tell me they spent their entire lunch break using infinity quarters to play an old arcade game, and that's just amazing. Like they're reconnecting with a specific memory of their childhood playing Ninja Turtles in the arcade, except now they have an infinite stack of quarters. And then I had another buddy who's telling me how he's getting into old JRPGs, games that he used to love as a kid, and how it's making him remember things that happened when he was a kid. His core memories are being unlocked. Speaking of core memories, do you ever have like a smell of food or something just transport you to the past? You're outside walking the dog, some lady down the road's making spaghetti, catch a whiff of it, and then boom, you are back in your grandma's kitchen. You can see the tile on the wall. You can see her rotary phone and how long the dang cord was. You can even remember what color her little ceramic spoon rest was. You're there instantly. It's something that's called olfactory memory, and it's probably an evolutionary response to keep us from eating rotten food, but it is something that happens to a lot of people, especially me, when they play games. So the most recent time this happened with me, I was playing Super Mario RPG last year for Game of the Month on Discord, and I'm playing it. I got to a certain spot. I think it was when I was fighting the turtle guys with the hammers, and just, it's 1996. It's summer. It's hot. The Olympics are on TV. It's so hot. My mom says, let's go into town. F using the stove. We're going to get some cold cuts and hoagie buns. So we go to the store. I must have been a real good helper at the store because she agreed we're going to stop at the video game rental place. I walk in, I see Super Mario RPG. Now, it has been a Nintendo Power for like 5 months at this point. I've just been lusting after this game. Not in a weird way, like some people do, but I really wanted to play it. I've seen it. They've gotten their hooks in me with the advertising campaign. I get it. I take it home. I play the thing the whole weekend straight. You had like until Sunday afternoon, you had to take it back. So 3 full days. I played it. I had an amazing time. I don't think I ever beat it, but I had an amazing time. And all of that memory just compressed into 1 millisecond as I'm playing the game on my handheld. And that's the kind of just amazing emotional connection you can have by actually playing games. In case you don't know, I'm advocating for you to use your handhelds instead of collecting. And I know people are going to get mad. I like to collect them, but I like to play games. I will admit there are people like me who like to play Pokemon on their handhelds and collect everything. There are people who like to play Pokemon with their handhelds and just collect the handhelds. I've avoided this for the most part, primarily because of my dogged adherence to Game of the Month. Thanks, Rapid. But I get it. I get the pull. I get seeing something like Pow Kitty dropped this new thing. I don't need it. I already have like 3 A113 handhelds. I'm probably going to buy it. I get the pull. But I generally try to avoid it because I like to play the games. And there's nothing wrong with collecting things. I mean, if you ask my wife, like 95% of what I have in the basement is collectible stuff that needs to be thrown away. I get the appeal of having it. I also get the appeal of maybe you were a poor kid and you only got 1 or 2 games a year, and now you have money, you have a job, and you want to accumulate all the games possible. I get it. That's a valid emotional response to maybe some childhood trauma. But I just see a lot of people in our Discord who have to buy the best new thing, and then like 2 weeks later, they're selling it in our Discord for, 50%, 60% on what they paid. Don't take me wrong. I've picked up some stuff, but it just makes me feel sad that you buy that handheld and you have such joy and you set up RetroArch and you get all your games scraped and then you just put it down because you're already getting a new handheld. That kind of bums me out. And then that weird collector mentality has a negative side too. Like if you're online, if you're perpetually online, people on Reddit or Discord or the Chans, they'll tell you that the handheld you like is actually garbage. And you don't want it. It's garbage. You don't need it. And then you're like, well, maybe I don't need it. And this thing that gave you joy right up until the moment where you went on that website, now you're like, I don't want it. And you're looking for the next new thing. That's just like a weird vibe that you get online sometimes. If you have something and you're playing games on it and it makes you happy, keep using it. You don't have to upgrade. So here's a real quick example of how this can all go down. So say you got a 351p a few years ago because you love Game Boy Advance. The thing plays it pixel perfect, it can handle the entire library, and oh, by the way, it comes in a beautiful indigo color. You're happy. You're playing games you used to love, maybe ones you missed, and then you see that Pal Kitty has a V10 for like $30. Well, now you're interested, even though it's basically what you already have, but it's in a weird short vertical form factor. So great, you bought it, and now you're set with 2. But wait, some asshole on YouTube, it's me, is spamming videos on his new 35XXSP. You already have 2 ways to play Game Boy Advance, including one you were perfectly happy with. But this one has built-in Wi-Fi and it looks just like an SP, so you cave and you buy it. And now you have 3 ways to play Game Boy Advance. You're set, right? Nope! Because here's the 34XX, which is basically a 351p you've had forever, but they crammed it inside of a third-party Game Boy Advance shell and added Wi-Fi. So before you know it, you're putting your credit card information in, and then BAM! You're sitting on 4 handhelds that can all play Game Boy Advance, and you had the one, you were happy with the one, but now you have 4. And now you start to wonder, do I need 4? Do I need 8? Is this partly my fault? Yeah. Yeah, it is. Because I do a lot of YouTube videos and I say this is amazing, I love it. And I don't lie, some people think I'm a shill, but I really do love these things, and I try to spread everything around. And then some of the ways I fight that compulsion to collect things is I give handhelds away, both on YouTube and in real life, and I also just get really into Game of the Month on our Discord. Now, Game of the Month, Game of the X actually, because you have 3 games of the month, 1 game every week, and then 1 game every quarter. It gives you a wide variety of games to play, and it kind of forces you to use your handhelds, God forbid, to play games. Now you can earn points and eventually get swag, but the main draw is you are playing games, and you're talking to people. You're like, I really like this stage. Hey, that boss was tough. Yeah, that boss sucks. But if you go into the corner, you can just throw axes at the crab, and you're like, oh, why didn't I think of that? And you're having fun. You're playing a game. Maybe it's a game you never played before. Maybe it's a game you played 100 times. But you're playing games. You're using your handhelds. I mean, after all, the whole point of these things is to play games. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't get in your head about, should I really be having fun on this inferior handheld? No, have fun. Play the game. Just play the game. And it's not like these things increase in value. There might be like 1 out of 1,000 that increases in value, but almost all of the other ones, it's like buying a car. As soon as you drive it off the lot, take 30, 40% off the price tag. I hate to be the one to break bad news, but it's not a collector's market with these things. And then someone's going to be in the comments, actually, this... Shut up. You know what I'm talking about. And speaking of resale value, if you are sitting on a collection of handhelds and you can fight that compulsion to hoard them, check out our Discord. There's a marketplace on there. Heck, go Facebook Marketplace. Sell them. Make a little bit of pocket cash and give someone else a chance to play games. You don't need a million of them. The 15%, 20% of you that are just hardcore collectors and you got them all on the wall behind you, I got a couple, but you got an entire wall. I get it. But for the vast majority of the retro handhelds community, just play the games. Please consider it a personal plea from your old buddy Zoo, #1 YouTuber, your best friend. I will never lie to you. I won't. And if you don't want to bother with selling them and you got a bunch of extra ones, just give them away as presents. Because now you got a bunch of buddies who, ostensibly at least, live nearby. You can actually go and play games and talk with them. Isn't that weird? Real human interaction? And you're bringing new people into the hobby. You're telling people it's not just for nerds and weirdos who have Raspberry Pis in their basement. This is mainstream now, baby. Freaking Ben, what's his face? The guy from Sonic, he was playing a 35XXSP. I saw it. I saw it on Twitter. Put the picture on the screen, Gary. I saw it. Anyway, if you like this video, remember to like and subscribe and share and comment and all that jazz. It helps us out. And heck, if you made it all the way to the end of my random diatribe, comment your favorite Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. Mine is Terminator 2. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll be back.